What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. As if I really needed more confirmation for things I already know, but fail to remember, and then am sometimes abruptly encountered by them again. I'm getting to witness something again in myself because of this recent shift back to the States. And that is, every place I go, there I am. A lot of our life is wasted in waiting to live, or to the looking forward to the something past the current thing that we are inhabiting. That means we miss the entire present. And if you live this way, like me, and work this muscle of looking forward too much, when that future comes as your present, it will also be overlooked, since it's always now. You will never really live the moment that you are in fully. You will always be looking past them, looking forward to the future. And one day you will realize all those days and moments that came and went. Little did I know that they were life. It's a sad way to live. Now, the reason I'm drawing on this tendency is towards making the larger point, which is, while you are looking forward to all the things where you think it will be different, where you will be different, I want to remind you that it is likely that you will be the same there as well. You bring yourself with you. And I'm not saying that you have to be any different either. That's not up to me to say. But if that part of your projection into the future, that once you get here, once you have this, that you will finally be a certain type of way, or finally feel a certain type of way, or act a certain type of way, or finally do certain things, all I'm saying is, more than likely, you will be the same when you get there, and not feel any different either. So it would actually be more helpful to work back from that projected vision of who you think you will be, if that is part of your vision, of all the details that image brings up for you in your mind, of all the qualities you think that it has. It would be more helpful to walk that back into the smallest of ways you can walk in that today, and walk a little more in tomorrow, and more the day after, and the week after, and the month after. Because if you think that there will be some drastic shift in you when you wake up one day after having gotten to where you want to get, if you even get there with this thinking, then I'm reminded, and I'm here to remind you then, that it is highly unlikely that you will be any different unless you are using each one of those days that build up to it as a small step in that larger shift. All that projected hope into the future doesn't change how you show up in the future unless you change the present. Future doesn't hold your riches. The future is now. It is literally what you are doing at this exact second is what's building towards that. You bring yourself with you, and it will take small steps, not large leaps, small hinges to swing big doors. I came here back to the States after 3 years of being antsy to come back here. And now that I am back and long removed from any life that I had left behind here and now needing to start fresh, I'm asking myself, what was it that I wanted to come back to? And I realized that it was less about being here and more about the ability to be here. That in some way, being in the situation that I was in India, with me being tied down to much of what was out of my control because it depended on my father's health, that I realized that what I wanted wasn't the return here. It was just the ability to know that I can return and come back and go as I please. I realized what I had struggled with the entire time in India was that for the first time in my life, I couldn't plan for anything. I couldn't up and leave. I couldn't run away. I couldn't move. It was as if my free will was tied down. At least that's the story I was telling myself in my head, or that's how I felt. That's how my body was showing up and the anxiety that it carried. And now, having not exercised that free will for 3 years, I am feeling the deficit in my muscle strength of exercising that free will. at least in the aspect of life. I exercised my free will in other ways while I was there when I had these constraints. So I put that into 3-hour workouts and this podcast and work. Still, though, I am finding it difficult within me to actually plan for a life and to actually define what kind of life I want to have. It's not even that I don't have the free will. I had to kill my desire for so long. So even just thinking about what I want is a difficult thing for my life. It's not like we are taught how to live, on how to have a life. And now that I am finally here, where I imagined to be back to, and have just being back fix all the problems that I imagined in my head, how I thought it would be so different from the second I landed here, I would be back to this peak state. I realize that I am right now, in this moment, in real time, trying to expel my body of the tendencies and routines I had built in over the past 3 years, and how my own story in my head of not being able to exercise my free will is now keeping me from feeling this drastic shift I thought I would be feeling as soon as I got back. The reality is, my momentum, or lack thereof in the past 3 years, is not something that can be whipped into speed like a horse. Because the machinery of the human psyche is much less ready to change course, to invite change in general. It's quite disruptive and energy expensive for something that is set up for basic survival to change that drastically. Trying to change yourself in any way, even if you change something as simple as your sleeping schedule, sends alarm signals in your brain and body as if it was under attack. Changing the smallest of habits. So to expect drastic changes in itself is an unrealistic notion. Having said all this, though, there's a part of me that is unrelenting and unreasonable still, and still expects me to wake up overnight and change. It hasn't worked yet, so it's a failing theory, don't follow it. But my point is, none of it matters. All resistance is meant to be lifted, curled, pushed, and pulled away. That's just the point of it as well. Although I feel the resistance in my body from all the time I have wasted and feel the difficulty in overcoming and then jump-starting this momentum, the point still remains. None of it matters. If you have a purpose to pursue, if the whip works or doesn't work, doesn't mean I'm gonna stop whipping, even if it doesn't work. That might be borderline self-abuse, so again, proceed at your own risk. But the insistent part of me doesn't let me rest, regardless of its accurate and clear read on the circumstance and its constraints, and knowing how I feel and how I have set myself up to be this way and how change is difficult. That part of me is still insistent and it remains unreasonable. It connects to me when it is said, let neither pleasure nor pain interfere with the pursuit of your purpose. Your potential, the unrealized part that is begging to be unearthed, it wouldn't allow for the weakness of their mind and body to get in the way for you reaching for it, for you performing for it, for driving for its expanding discovery and output. Potential wouldn't let you just accept the weaknesses. I think that brings me back to the future focus a little bit, but I'm saying this to my present moment, to your present moment, to the now that is. The sovereign, voluntary path of anything that you look forward to that is different from where you have been is the way you walk in it right now in this exact moment. It's not something in the future. The detachment from all those anchors, the very thing that separates you from the binds of your patterned behavior, is your ability to lean into your sovereignty, the accepting of your powerful force that you are, the nation state that you are. That regardless of all the resistance built into our human psyche and its makeup, that you believe that you have within you the ability to exercise that power and its force to handle any resistance outside or inside. And you must do that voluntarily. You must make peace with your own disadvantages and lacks and accept no less regardless, because it doesn't matter. And no one else can instill in you the power of this to be made possible. It must be an internal force that heats up from the inside. And if you don't believe you have this within you, Just try telling yourself you don't. Try the alternative on for size. Say to yourself, you are stuck. You are bound by where you have been. You will not have much because you have not had much in the past. You are unlikely to overcome your habits and shortcomings. You are stuck and forever cursed into being the way you have been for so long. How does that feel, saying that to yourself? Do you believe it? God, I hope not. And if you don't, because you know it isn't true, then that brings you right back to feeling that spark of sovereignty, the power in your bones, in your spirit, that you can overcome, that where you are going and what you are after is greater than where you have been. That even if I bring myself everywhere, this flawed, broken self with poor momentum, even if I bring myself there, I will not let myself believe that I cannot bring a new me, a different me, and change that momentum. At least these are the two polar tensions in my psyche that tug at each other. And I know which one to listen to. I accept the limitations of my human psyche, but I know which one to listen to. And it's the one that says, no matter the resistance, no matter the circumstance, no matter my past, no matter my binds, whatever I resolve for, take on, will not be weighed down by preconceived notions or past hurts. Whatever I do will not feel those limitations. Goggins says, I'm a warrior. A warrior is a motherfucker who says, hey, I'm here again today. I'm here again tomorrow. I'm going to be here the next day. It's the person who puts no limit on what's possible to believe. So the side I believe is the one that says that no matter what, my undertakings will be undeterred. I love you, family. Stay true always. I'll see you on the next show.